Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome along to episode 65 of the Sofamanager Scottish Football Podcast. Back after a fortnightly break, we're well rested, and hopefully the content will be feeling more energised this week. We're all in fine form, which I'll come to in a moment, aren't we, John? Oh dear. The nasally tones already. Anyway, smashing straight through that. On this week's show, we'll be talking about the Tommy Burns documentary that was on BBC Alba this week. Our thoughts on that. Did we like it? Did we not? What did we see from Scottish football back in the day? We'll also have a little quiz afterwards based on Scottish legends. Stay tuned for that. Some very surprising numbers in there. We'll also be talking about last week's Europa League. Rangers away in Spain, playing Villarreal, and we're lucky enough to have our very own La Liga expert with us to go over that. You know, write in if you think his Barcelona talk's better than mine, top corner, if you're watching on the video. And we'll also be covering the usual Scottish Premiership and Championship topics, including what it's like to currently be a Falkirk fan. Yes, some of us do exist, very sadly, and are now the butt of almost everybody's jokes. Anyway, joining me on this week's show, as we might have heard briefly earlier, it is the man that is more stuffed than Dylan Mackin's breakfast roll, as quoted by himself.
Dylan Mackin.
It is John Brown. Hello, John.
Hello.
Stuffed with a cold, are we?
I'm choked.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It was a rare piece of actual banter on the group chat we had this week from John, which was clear to see that he was ill. In that funny pun about a slightly roly-poly Falkirk striker. But you still roly-polied your way at the Falkirk Stadium, sadly.
Aye, and roly-polied back out again.
Yes. Up and down the stairs. And we're also joined, we missed him last week, when we were talking about Dario G. Is Dario G back himself? And La Liga expert Darren gives
Hello, Paul.
thumbs up to you, Darren. So he confirmed he was coming from the podcast. And myself, Scotland's rope-paced announcer, Paul. No way, no other way to say it, is there? Right, so shall we just get cracked on? So, topic number one, the topic on everyone's lips this week, was the Tommy Burns documentary on BBC Alba.
Yes.
Now, we here at Sofamanager do like a good BBC Alba documentary.
Yeah, that's true.
We were all over the Third Lanarkshire. In fact, it's a hit podcast for us at the time.
It was.
I think it's reached triple digits on the various audio and video sources. So yeah, this was like 90 minutes long, I think.
It was a lot longer than I expected.
It was. When I clicked on iPlayer, I was like, oh, this is a football match in its length. But again, a guy I didn't know very much about before. I knew of him, I knew of his achievements and things like that. But, you know, I didn't know much of the story about, you know, his sad passing and things like that. So, anyway, reviews, thumbs up, thumbs down. Darren, sadly didn't see it.
Sadly, I've not seen it yet.
He's a great contributor to
I'll get to around to it.
Yes,
Sure.
I recommend it. What did you think, John?
I enjoyed it. It kind of shines a light on a different era of Scottish football that we don't normally see anymore. You got to kind of see the guy himself rather than what's maybe portrayed sometimes as a stereotype, or the character only an excuse.
I know. That's the thing, that guy just
was-
nails him. Like, he looks like him. And
It's brilliant. It keeps the character going. You know, it's absolutely fantastic. A great sort of individual of Scottish football that you'll probably not see ever again, just with the way football is now. But I thought it was fantastic.
That's the thing that got me, was all the wee tales about him, like phoning him up his son at the chippy. And, you know, ordering the most random stuff. And he's like, where are you phoning from, mate? Giving his address. And he's like, oh, yeah. Put the phone down. And it's that kind of cheeky sort of characters. And you saw the footage of him. And I was really struck as well by, like, you know, his funeral and things. It was Walter Smith carrying the coffin. Stout, you know, Rangers man. And, you know, the funny thing about Tommy Burns is he couldn't be more Celtic. Like, being brought up in the same Catholic church as Celtic were founded in.
Aye.
And like one thing I love about Tommy Burns was everything was green. Like his famous suit in that cup final in 94-95 against Airdrie.
Aye, 94-95.
Okay. Tell me in the comments.
Maybe.
I think it's 95.
94.
But this amazing green suit, and I was amazed he rocks up to work as well in this beautiful green Honda Accord, which is a 90s car. You know, a boxy Sylvain. But no, he lived and breathed the stuff. But as you say, it was great to see some of the older footage. But I thought it was funny because when you see the Celtic footage, it's actually this crystal clear archive footage. Cut to Kilmarnock in Division 2.
It's been kind of written over by a VCR.
It's someone's old tape that they were trying to dig through.
I did that for old Falkirk videos and stuff. So
If you was it Sofamanager JB?
they're somewhere on YouTube. You'll find them.
Better viewed than this blooming podcast. But they were. I was so funny the difference as well. Falkirk getting a wee mention with the programme.
97 Cup semi-final.
There you go. But it was good to see a different perspective. Just an older, because I was very much kind of grown up, back then.
Yeah, it's good looking back and watching the old stories. And
Do you have any memories from football in the 1990s, Darren?
not any standout ones though.
I remember, my first ever football match was Falkirk versus Ross County in the 1990s.
Was it?
We played a boys' brigade tournament on the sand Astro pitches behind Brockville before the match, and I remember when we were coming out, the cheerleaders were warming up. Back in the days where that was a thing as well.
That was the thing.
Hashtag Kilmarnock. You move yourself forward in the times. But that was brilliant, because I just remember there was like wood everywhere in those stands and stuff, and you got the highlights on Scott Sport even though we weren't in the top division.
Nah, they used to do the old first division highlights. Right up to quite recently, it was 05, 06, I think it was the first time they stopped doing them.
That was longer than I expected.
Yeah.
Actually. Do you have any memories from the 90s, John?
I didn't start following football till
Really?
2002. That was my first games, 2002.
It's more the thousands, yeah. I remember going to a Dundee game.
I can't remember anything off
Dundee.
like 98 World Cup. I was only 4-year-old with the 98 World Cup. I can just about remember the 2002 World Cup.
I can remember Korea, Japan.
I can't remember much off it. I couldn't tell you anything about it.
I remember a friend had the Xbox game, and the Xbox was the big thing at the time. This is the OG Xbox, by the way. This is not your.
And the black,
360.
the kind of black and the green cross.
Aye.
Well enough.
Good times. We had lots of fun Halo 2 memories actually around here playing that sort of thing. So your first game was Falkirk Dundee then, Darren?
Yeah.
Good times. Now both terrible football teams, so we'll come back to that. But one interesting thing about this, Tommy Burns documentary was that they were interviewing pretty much greats. Specifically Celtic ones, obviously, folk like Danny McGrain, who I thought was hilarious. Like, he was swearing like a trooper.
Aye, good man.
In some sections. Kenny Dalglish, a lot of top, Paul McStay, things like that were really top. Even like Van Hooydonk and stuff.
I don't even know who kind of starred as the striker for the stopping 9 in a row. It was Billy Stark was in it.
Of course.
Who I completely forgot had been kind of in and around Celtic at the time.
I didn't know that. I know the name.
I'll ever know him for the Scotland under 21s, and I think he did a bit with Kilmarnock as well at some stage. Who else was on it? It was a bit a kind of drop down when they started interviewing Darren O'Dea though. Of all players.
But difference there.
If you actually remember back, he was a feature in the Celtic
first team. He was a
first
stalwart
team.
that Celtic centre back, especially when he talks about the AC Milan in the San Siro.
That's crazy.
It's
That's crazy.
unbelievable.
We're actually going to come back to some ridiculous names that you would not believe played at that level.
I can quite believe it.
Later, but that was cool. It was cool to see. But the question I would have is, those guys, now have a real aura about them. When you hear the name like Danny McGrain or something like that, you're like, that is a legend. And it's whether we will see the likes of Scott Brown, James Forrest, even like folk like James Tavernier and stuff remembered in that same.
You'll probably
mentioned
know.
in the same breath.
I don't think you'll get it. It's a different level of football now in Scotland than what it was back then. I mean, these guys.
Is that their fault? Is that?
It's just a natural way it's went for Scottish football. You look back and you look at, if you want to look at the Celtic heroes back then, you do go back to the 60s when they won the Champions League.
That's true.
Or doing a lot in Europe. Likewise with Rangers, anyone in that kind of 9 in a row period, heroes. Hearts is the same. John Robertson is an absolute legend down Gorgie Road.
Very underrated, John Robertson was back in his time. I'd like to see a documentary on him.
I'd like to see a documentary
Just
actually, the Hearts winning the league. I think that's another story that's not really been told.
I know, but that would go quite well with Hearts actually winning the league this season, John, you see. So maybe it's in the works, who knows?
What do they call it? Is it Purple Bricks or something that's doing the... What are they called? They're doing all the documentaries.
Are Purple Bricks no the estate agents?
Nah, maybe that.
You're on the right lines. It's Purple something.
It's
Purple
Purple
Vine or Purple something like that.
Maybe holding off. I never thought of that. Well, inside track there.
Yeah, exactly. Change from purple to maroon. So you can't see, for example, at Rangers done the Alfredo Morelos stand anytime soon.
I can't. No, it's amazing.
Why What's it? Is it the John Gregg stand or is it something else?
Yeah, the
The big one, the big 3-tiered
The
one.
Bill Struth stand.
Bill Struth.
Yeah, Bill Struth.
Was he a player?
He was a manager.
Was he?
Manager.
Again?
Think
Another,
so.
another documentary.
I think I was at they'd opened that against Falkirk.
Did they?
They'd renamed it. It was one of the first games of the season.
That must have been a while ago.
Oh, I'm like 7-3 or something like that. But
Good times, I'm not
I
surprised.
remember
man.
that there was people parasailing off the roof yet and all that.
Really?
Aye. It was quite a show, kid, to be there.
Oh,
It was weird.
it was nice to be a part of that.
What the programming that it's bizarre. Like,
Ah.
I remember.
Oh, really?
That. Yeah.
What year was that then?
2007.
So that's much later than I thought. Because
Aye.
Ibrox hasn't changed in like.
They just it was a
Renamed the
renaming
stands.
like rather than what it used to be previous.
Oh well, so there's no current players there.
But I
I
mean,
wouldn't say so.
it doesn't really match the bill. I mean, you did say Scott Brown.
Yes.
He's not the same quality. He's got the same longevity.
Yes, he does.
He doesn't have the same quality. Because Larson
would we know?
is
Yeah, he's not a Henrik Larsson.
you know, he was a real brilliant
Yeah,
player.
yeah.
He maybe wasn't there quite as long, but he is a much better player.
Okay,
And
like,
he's,
for example, you know, Henrik Larsson played with Barcelona. You not
Uh-huh.
see Scott Brown do that same role?
Sorry, no comment.
I'm sorry, right? You look at folk like Mascherano and like who's terrible at Barcelona. Vidal would kind of be that holding midfielder role at the moment. Scott Brown
Vidal.
could go toe to toe.
that'd be quite funny to
Maybe
watch.
Barca beat, yeah.
Who's that? Busquets. Scott Brown's better than Sergio Busquets, for example.
Aye, you're taking the mic.
Yeah.
Aye.
I think he's better than Busquets.
No, okay.
Anyway, no, I'm arguing for the sake of arguing.
Yeah,
I would
you're
agree
right.
with you. Sadly, the success, you know, and if Celtic were to go 10-0, which is looking less and less likely,
Well, after today, definitely.
perhaps not. But anyway, speaking of legends, I have a little quiz this week.
Oh,
So
we're getting an early. This is
yeah, get it in early.
Wasn't
So
ready for that.
the listeners and the viewers are still with us, hopefully at this point in time. So let's cue the music. Right.
We're back.
So yes, we're back. This week's quiz, it was intended actually for a few weeks ago, so it's a bit of a relic of olden times. But it's to do with the highest rated Scotland players ever to be in FIFA.
Alright, okay.
Okay, so I have a top 10 list here. Some people are equal, so there are 10 positions, but there are more than 10 players. Okay?
Right, okay.
So, the scoring to this is going to be quite difficult and complicated, and if there's a winner, there's a winner. I'm not really going to keep that much track of it. But it's part of the fun.
Okay.
I'll each give you 4 guesses. We'll say 3 guesses. We'll whiz this along. Right. So if you guess the top one, you would get 10 points. If you guess the rating, I'll give you half of that 10 back. So you would get 15. Right?
Oh my god.
Scotland's going to be good.
Scoring from 10 down to 1, same scale either way. If you followed that, I'm amazed. It doesn't matter.
That's
Anyway,
Yeah, okay.
Darren,
Yes.
who do you think's the highest rated Scotland player in FIFA? And I stopped at FIFA Football 2005 because the ratings were just crazy. Not that some of these aren't.
2005.
Who do you think's the highest rated FIFA?
Highest rate
Of all time.
of all time.
Yeah, from 2006 until now. In FIFA, of course. The video game. Just the
Hold on,
launch
I'm
name.
just going to chuck a name out. Barry Ferguson.
Barry Ferguson, he comes in at number 3.
Number 3.
Actually, what was his rating, do you think?
Highest ever rating must be 70 something. 74?
No, 83.
83, that high.
83 is that high. Bear in mind, these are ridiculous. Darren, you score 7 points for that. No, I'm not making that up. John,
That's ridiculous.
it is ridiculous.
Are you including blue informs?
No,
Oh.
no, these are just honestly standard ratings. John,
Who'd be higher rated than Barry Ferguson?
you would not believe it. You would honestly not believe it.
Who would have been playing there in England?
That's what I was thinking.
I think, you know, in the 2006, between 2006 and 2008, there's some, you know, stupid ratings.
So Stores.
Oh, I've got no.
I think it would hold this without, like...
Blocking your face. I'm just stalling, I don't think. Tell you what, I bet Phil Bardsley was quite high.
Incorrect.
No.
Zip. Right, Darren.
Stephen Davis.
No,
He's not Irish.
he's not an Irish.
Oh, yes, actually.
-1 for that. For sake. Stephen Davis. John.
Sorry, Stephen.
Craig Gordon.
Craig Gordon comes in at number 7.
Really?
Equally.
Despite being at Sunderland all that time.
Despite being at Sunderland all that time, so you're on for 3 points currently. What do you think his rating was for 1.5.
Oh, 80.
79 in 2007. So that was a good guess.
That probably would have been the Sunderland.
I think that was in the
first season.
Sunderland era.
He
for
went
now.
for 9 mil.
Go
Right.
for another goalkeeper.
Right.
Al McGregor.
Al McGregor. And at number 6.
6.
So higher than Gordon, interestingly enough. Oh, I shouldn't have told you that.
Nah, it would have made sense anyway.
So you'll get 4 points for this, Darren. What rating?
Go for 78. That's too
Oh,
high.
he's higher, so he's going to be higher than 79.
I didn't hear that.
Play the game, Darren.
80
Play
then,
the game.
80.
80 it would have been his rating. I won't give you the point for that. 4.
I thought it was 70.
4 points. So Darren, you currently lead the way on 7 plus 4 minus 1, whichever that is. Comment below. John, your next guess.
I'm going to go for Ross McCormack.
Incorrect.
Really?
Yes.
He was an 82.
You're terrible at this game.
He was 82 in the inform.
But I've not counted in for.
He was a 78 as
No,
well.
they're Ultimate Team cards. This is like... What? They didn't have Ultimate Team in 2006.
I had on my team last season. And this season.
Yeah, but he was never named in a Scotland squad when he was that high rated, so get stuff. Right, Dan, I'll give you one more guess to 4 because we've not touched the top 3 or 4 here.
Scott Brown. We've been talking about.
In at number 7 as well. So for 3 points, how many?
So go for 80.
Oh, 79.
79.
So close. I can only give you 3 though. And John! It's got to be a big one here, John.
Who's been higher than...
Oh, so many people. the top 2 I'm looking at. Right, last guess, come on.
Paul Hartley.
Hartley is in the list. He's equal 8, so you're only getting 2 points here.
Nah, I don't care.
What would his rating have been?
77.
Oh, 78.
Damn it.
John, you score 5. Darren, you score 14 minus 1, which is 13. You are the winner. Congratulations.
Don't know how I done that.
Well done, man.
Right,
I don't know what happened there, but...
omitting informs, right? Because Ultimate Team didn't exist. I maybe should have clarified
Still
that
got
in the
some
rules.
other names in my head.
But who would
Okay.
have been higher?
James McFadden.
And-
seen those.
Number 1, equally, Chris Boyd
Chris, but I did think about Chris.
and Stephen Naismith. What do you think their rating was?
81.
85.
85.
And what
I
game?
never got that.
Right, 85 in 2008 for
What
Stephen
one?
Naismith.
Ah,
Chris
joke.
Boyd, 85 in 2008. 2008 seems to be a bit of a blip on the radar for absurd
That's
ratings.
ridiculous.
I think this was on the PlayStation 2 edition, which had like Darren Mackey at 77, which was, even as a big fan, absurd.
Yes.
And
Kenny
at number
Miller was
2,
on
and at number 2, Stephen McManus.
Seriously?
84.
I'd never have
He would
got
have been at what, Celtic and Derby.
Something like that. 3
Mm.
Barry Ferguson, which Darren said. 4 Darren Fletcher. 82, surprised me.
I never thought about that.
5 Andrew Robertson.
Right, Charlie Adams on this.
81. 6 Sean Maloney at 80. Charlie Adam also at 80. 7 you had Craig Gordon as well as Tom Kearney. Recently.
I
Ah,
got him as
seven. 6 as well, I should say David Weir, 80.
so people going that far back.
20 pace.
Well, Kenny Miller in at 8 along with Paul Hartley. 9 James McFadden, 77. And 10th Jackie McNamara and Derek Riordan with 75.
When it said data.
Imagine Deeks in that. Yeah.
Deeks!
Well, if that was one, what Gary O'Connor would have been then, because he was the same.
Yeah, he was pretty
He
close.
would have been at Spartak Moscow and all that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't think the Russians were in the game and things back then though, so it was
anyway, well done, Paul. That was.
Thank
That
you.
was a good quiz.
Effort was put into that.
I did. There was a lot of research, and some of it might be wrong. So if you want,
Berate him.
yeah, if you want to comment below. But anyway,
Oh, sorry.
we'll crack on without you. Don't worry. Elsewhere this week we had Europa League. It was on. Rangers played Villarreal at the Ceramica Stadium.
What?
It's a sponsored thing. Do you know
New name.
the funny thing was they're sponsored by something Ceramica, isn't it?
Yeah.
But my dad was like, "Oh, do they make tiles? Because like ceramic."
What did they do?
And I was like, "Well, look at the tunnel, because it's like a bathroom. They've just got all the bathroom
High-tech
tiles
bathroom,
on the tunnel." So some familiar names in that Villarreal squad. Do talk about them, Darren, while I was out of frame to sugar my mouth.
Carlos Bacca is one of the main names.
He is. Oh,
Sounds-
what a roasting goal, by the way.
Shocking
I always
defender.
say,
Oh, defending's howling. Like there's 2 or 3 mistakes, but
it's a good finish though.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's the one thing that struck me about Villarreal. It's just their confidence in shooting compared to any other team I've watched in the last month and year and a half.
Santi Cazorla has been quite a good sign for them too.
Oh, Sante Cardo. I was impressed. Was it Pedraza?
That's
I don't know. Quite a good midfielder driving forward.
Uh-huh.
Funes Mori, I had no idea he was
Yeah,
there.
he's signed for them on loan, I think, still.
Everton playing holding midfield, which
Mhm.
was a bit different for him, I thought.
Mm.
Well, it might not be. I don't know. Have you seen much of them this season, actually, Dan? You're
I've seen a bit of them, yeah. They're struggling this season.
harder to keep up with now, isn't it? Now that it's no on.
Sky.
I'm disappointed by that. Because Serie A has disappeared.
Yes, it's on.
Yeah, that's
11
11
Sports.
sports.
I think those two leagues will regret that decision. Like,
I regret the decision already. What am I going to watch at 11 in the morning on a Sunday?
is there not a Chinese Super League on Sky? And,
Thanks.
Italy was always quite good for morning. Well, I
It
suppose
was, yeah.
Spain as well,
Aye,
actually.
two of them.
Yeah, I think they'll live to regret that. I think this is Sky are just waiting for this to fail to then come back to kind of sort itself out. But did you watch the game, Dan?
I did, yes, yeah. I was impressed with Villarreal first half, but I thought Rangers done well second half.
Right, I watched the first half, and see when it was 1-0 at half time,
Yeah, it was that.
and when I came back, Dad was like, it's 2-2. I'm like, what?
Aye, well,
They were getting monstered in the first half. There was none. So credit to them.
Mm-hmm.
Two terrific goals, actually. I thought well worked. Scott Arfield netting a rare goal.
Yeah, it was quite funny because I was slagging off Arfield and Candace
Quite
a
rightly,
lot in
quite-
the first half.
Candace
and
was
then-
terrible in the first half.
And then obviously assist and a goal for the two of them. So.
Didn't see Candace in the second half. So
he had one or two good moves and that was it.
he's
Yeah.
their highest rated player on FIFA this year, which I'm like,
Is that right?
It's just because he's foreign and interest.
Well, okay, John, we're talking about football. It's not your moment, okay?
Aye, well.
Aye, and then Lafferty,
Lafferty.
who's immediately dyed his hair blonde.
That was a strange.
Frosted tips.
Well, it was just goals are the only thing he's driving home
Aye.
after his drunk driving charges. It's quite- but no Morelos. They didn't seem to be much worse off for it, though,
I
did they?
didn't really miss him too much. Arfield should have scored at the end though with
Nice.
Doran's pass. That was a great pass.
Oh, Doran's back.
Yeah,
Well, that's good to see,
came off the bench.
because that's been a long time for him, hasn't it?
I think the heat took the energy to both teams by the end. It was at 30 odd degrees.
Was it?
It was
By the
warm.
time it
I
kicked
heard,
off,
yeah.
it looked horrendous.
I had a comment on Kyle Lafferty's blonde hair. Apparently, the wife was happy he went blonde because she was struggling to tell him apart from Ryan Kent.
No.
So thank you for that, Rob Lawless 666. Okay.
That's quite funny. I can't.
But you see where the fans were contained in that stadium as well.
Right at the top.
It's a weird
Yeah.
stadium.
Who
though.
designed that? Like,
Aye, it's just an add-on.
Massive stand. Aye.
number of things I don't get about European football stadiums. See these tiny wee tiers that are below like the main stand. There's like 4 rows of seats. Why? What? Who?
I don't know. It is a strange one. It was quite funny. I seen a couple of Instagrams like stories of the game, and there was a few Rangers fans, and it's like a net that's in front of like the away fan section,
Aye.
and they're actually standing on that, and it's like bouncing on the net. It's
Well, I
quite
saw one of the Instagram stories I saw. It's like the man with the megaphone, which I've not really seen
funny.
here, but he was giving it loudly. They're giving it all the chant, and then Rangers come forward and they score. Now I couldn't actually see the ball go in, and I don't know whether it's to do with the tilt of the stand or just the atmosphere or whatever. But they were all topless and stuff like that. So
yeah.
you're quite right with the heat and
It
stuff.
was 30 odd degrees. Aye. Good support though. Yeah,
Yeah, it was really good.
travelled really well because I don't think it's the
but
easiest
how
place
many expats?
to. Well, I don't know how easy it is to get to Villarreal.
If you
though.
go to Benidorm, you're no far away from the airport.
Right.
So
Hey,
I know,
so-
a few, I know a few people that went to Benidorm.
oh my gosh, there's pubs galore that
Yeah.
would support that kind of thing.
The Rangers supporters club in Benidorm just running buses.
Pretty
I've
much.
seen a few of them at the.
Worth it though. That'd be a good away day.
Oh, that's a good away day. Yeah, definitely.
But a tremendous result for them.
Yeah.
And if they can do the business at home, I think.
The one thing about Villarreal is they're not the team that they were like 4 or 5 seasons ago. So they're sitting 13th in the league now. So they've had a poor start to the season. So I was expecting Rangers to do something against them, but at the same time, Rangers done well to get a point considering how they played in the first half.
It was a fantastic result, exactly. Who was in their team? Remember years ago when they were in the Champions League,
Oh, I couldn't.
firing on all cylinders?
Yeah.
Wasn't he Forlan? Felt like Raquelme though
Mhm.
was a big player
Just-
for them, right?
Just had a good team generally. They still play the same sort of football, really. It's just different players.
Remember as well, who was that other Spanish team? They nicked Cuellar from them when they had a good Champions League run. I think they got relegated.
Osasuna.
Osasuna. There you go, remember. So all these wee Spanish teams kind of have their...
Yeah, they do. They
Or
have their
Rangers.
moments and then get relegated.
Yeah, sadly. So I'm going to look up that Villarreal team. See, that would be the quiz for next week.
It's like the Villarreal team.
Because I remember that being quite a big deal at the time. I'm never going to get it on my phone now.
I can't remember them. Their high school used to do trips to Villarreal.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They went to Valencia a few times too.
Because Valencia was the bigger team. You knew more of the players
Oh,
from
yeah,
Valencia
yeah.
at that time.
Well, it'd been like David Silva.
Someone, David Villa.
Morata.
David Villa.
No,
Aye.
Morata. Sorry. Mata.
The boy
Juan
went
Mata.
to
Joaquin.
Is it?
Vicente.
No.
Canizares, the blonde goalkeeper. Ayala, the centre
Navas, I think,
back.
was there, I think.
Was he? Navas was Sevilla, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he was at Valencia for a
Oh,
while
it could have
too.
been. Oh yeah, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely. Aye. So it's good to see the sort of.
That's the golden generation of Spain away.
I know pretty
Out
much.
the window.
Yeah, they're not so hot, but
They'll have a tougher test against Rapid Vienna.
is that who they're playing?
That's
now?
next home, Ibrox, who beat Spartak 2-0.
Oh, did they? I didn't
Oh,
see it.
yeah.
Aye.
I thought it was
quite good.
CSK that was in the group. Is that
Nah.
something else?
Nah, Spartak. CSK's in the Champions League.
Oh well. So Vienna beat Spartak at home.
Mm.
I didn't know that. I saw the other result from Celtic's group that Salzburg had beat Leipzig
Nah, that was
Aye.
a bit of a shock.
in the Red Bull derby.
Yeah.
It's like because Red Bull will be looking at the accounts going,
Hmm.
we pay this team far less than this team, but they've just won 3-2. Which is weird. But they've talked about match fixing in that with
Aye.
those teams, and I was like, ooh,
Well, it could be the reverse in the next game. Yeah.
could be.
It'll depend on who's more likely to get through to the last 16, the last 32 in the.
Yeah, probably both of them.
Well, you never know. Like, Celtic didn't look all that great against Rosenborg. I watched
Oh,
that
okay.
game as well. I watched both games.
I
And
didn't watch all the Celtic
That Celtic
Watched
game
the
looked like
Rangers game.
from the highlights
Well,
looked like a
I
brutal
While the
watch.
Rangers
I
game
watched
was
the
really
first
exciting.
half and then I was like, nope. I'm not
While the
watching
Rangers game was exciting, the Celtic game was. It mirrored the weather. It was just dreary,
Yeah.
miserable. They were terrible. Celtic are having a bad time, no doubt.
Well, I mean, the chatter midweek, Griffiths come on, get the goal. He got the goal against Kilmarnock on Sunday, and the chatter at the moment is, who's their number one striker, Edward or Griffiths.
You've got to play both.
Well, you're a
Edward
team of that calibre,
Edward
absolutely.
Edward
right,
looks
yeah.
better with somebody up beside him. Griffiths is just a poacher.
You have a way of shooting down my arguments really quickly, don't you?
I'm not sure that I'm just. What would you
John
have?
would be terrible on the debate, for example.
Nah, just win.
I would win. You've seen the thing they do on Soccer AM where they like cut it to like take them out of context. That comedian guy that used to do all the impressions of the teams at the end of every week,
Yeah, I know here's that.
which I thought was quite funny. But so they 1-0 against Rosenborg, which I think is their least convincing win against them this season.
I'd say so.
My
Left it
point-
late enough.
My point in the previous podcast still stands.
What was
I'm
that?
not going to say it because you'll bleep it.
No, all right, go for it.
The Rosenborg are still there.
Well, I may or may not remember to go back to that.
It's a statement of fact.
No, I
It is, though.
would agree with that. But Celtic are also. We'll talk about them fumbling in the league, I guess, as well, shall we?
Nah, if you want to merge the two.
Yeah, why not?
The stats. Richard Gordon on good old Sports Sound, can't go wrong, was saying today that they've dropped 8 points from 6 games, which is the same amount of points they dropped in their entire Invincible season in 2016-17,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy. 6 games and they've dropped 8 points.
Aye, it's not looking good. It's hard to say why though. Because
Well-
I think they have the squad. It's just
The squad hasn't changed in
No.
actuality. The only person they've lost was Dembele.
aye,
And Armstrong.
But
Armstrong,
Armstrong
yeah.
never really played. That was the thing. He was injured all the time.
Well, I think if you look at, today, I think, or on Sunday, sorry, Christie played, perhaps instead of Armstrong, and I think there's a gap there.
There's a difference in quality for sure.
Yes, but Celtic were so loaded with midfielders that it was actually unnecessary to have. And Rogic was always there ahead of Armstrong anyway, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he dropped quite a lot of players for the Kilmarnock game, I felt.
So he did.
I don't know if this is
not
just.
playing Rogic, not playing
Yeah.
Forrest. That was a bit of an impact also.
I don't know if this is just a. They don't have a plan B as such. It's past the ball to death, but it's too slow now, and people know just to sit back and absorb it because they don't really have the quality anymore to break it down. I mean, Sinclair doesn't look half the player he was,
Oh, he was really poor.
We said that a lot.
and he's effectively stealing 25 grand a week when you look at his performances.
Their wage bill is like £15.9 million a year.
Unbelievable. He's bankrolled by the Irish guy. Is it Fergus? No, Fergus McCann.
No, he's the Canadian guy.
Dermot.
Is this Dermot Desmond?
Maybe Dermot Desmond, who's paying for it. He's also paying for Brendan Rodgers to be there as well, who's on a pretty penny.
Rodgers.
He's beginning to, I don't want to say he's been getting found out, but there's a limitation to him now.
Yeah.
I
And
don't know if he's losing the dressing room. Either.
aye,
I think he lost the comments were, that things happened in the summer that didn't go down well. I think
Yeah.
the Boyata situation was handled badly. Dembele leaving
was
so
definitely
late
handled bad.
would have had
it
a
wasn't
hit.
so much he left, it was the manner in which he left
Yes.
and the manner in which Boyata stayed.
Yes.
And you're thinking if you were getting, what was it, 20 mil for Dembele,
Uh-huh.
you probably could have got that earlier on.
They would have
Middle.
been, I think they would have got maybe 17, 18 a bit earlier
Yeah.
on.
You would have got, what, 8-9 million for Boyata
If you wanted
if
it,
you
yeah.
wanted to really push it. So there's nearly 30 million. You could have went and got McGinn whenever you fancied because he
Mhm.
was ready to go.
Messed
be
about with
honest.
that, yeah.
But you see his finishing's awful. He
Ah,
scored,
well.
he scored a really iffy goal.
Oh,
He's-
yeah.
he's off balance. And
I know. That was jammy. I think it was a...
It's world class.
Their kit is minted by the way. The
The Villa kit.
Aye.
Nah, I don't like it. Don't like the colouring.
maroon.
Nah.
It'll be
I don't
hard
know.
to get away for that for the home
Well,
court.
claret, technically.
Claret and blue. That's getting off point though.
Ah, sorry.
But-
yeah.
You get what I mean though. Celtic could have handled it so much better in the
Oh,
summer.
yeah.
They could have had so much more money, and they
Yeah.
could have went out and got.
You could have
Yeah.
replaced 3 times Jack Hendry.
Aye,
In a swoop.
maybe you could have sold Boyata
Mm-hmm.
to 8 million. You could have went and got McKenna for 3.5,
That would have
and
worked.
still made a profit. And you've
Mhm.
still got a really good centre back
Mm-hmm.
who will develop much like Virgil van
Yeah.
Dijk has done.
Not someone that goes straight into the first team. but
Aye. Well, I don't know. I mean, he'll progress quite well in that Celtic team
Mhm.
domestically. Aye.
Yeah.
Europe's a challenge for him, obviously, but I just think it was a wee bit stubbornness. I think there was a just by the outside looking in, there was a tension between the board and what Rodgers
Oh
wanted
yeah,
to do,
yeah.
and it's carried over into the league, which isn't comfortable for them.
Oh no. Well, his comments today that they are weaker. And he was actually very honest in his interview. It strikes me as a man that's been defeated, and that's kind of you go from the highs of a couple of seasons ago, the highs of I'm staying for 10 in a row, to what we currently have, and that friction between himself and the board, them not performing on the pitch, him not really having much of a reason for that at the moment. If they don't win the league this year, do they sack him?
I don't think they'll sack him. He'll maybe walk. He'll maybe take a job down
Do you
south.
think he's gutted he didn't get looking for that Arsenal job?
He maybe
I think
did.
so, yeah.
Is he baffled that Unai Emery got the Arsenal job as we all were?
I think most people were.
He
I
will
don't-
be trying to get a job back in England.
No,
I-
it's
Do you really think Arsenal would have been the right club for him though?
It's a huge club. You're not going to get a bigger team.
I think he would have done a good job there.
I don't think he was the right kind of name for Arsenal.
Yeah, but then the Arsenal thing was a bit of an anomaly because the guy Wenger had been there for so long, and that did they need a name? Did they and Unai?
They needed a continental name. They didn't need a Brendan Rodgers.
Perhaps.
It's a
Two sides of that coin.
But
You either
his-
go British or you go.
Well, his stock was high at that
But-
point last season, whereas now it's starting to. And you look at what Gerrard is currently doing with his team.
no, that's a concern for Rangers now. Is Gerrard is doing so well.
Ish. We look domestically, they're still not quite there.
They're hammering St Johnstone 5-1 just after a European tie. Who Celtic in the same
But Celtic had that
circumstances
long
struggle.
journey, John, to come back midweek.
all the way.
Celtic Park to Kilmarnock's a big drive.
It's
The
a step back.
M77's a busy
It
road.
is a step back in time sometimes, but
Well,
it is.
See, that announcement spiel, by the way, is so funny because it's like, we are the only team in Ayrshire. And it's like, oh.
Bleep
They're
yourself.
not even in the same league yet. We'll get back to that as well. So, point blank question, do Celtic win the league this season? Darren.
Current form, no. But I still think they will
Okay.
at this moment of time. But then I think Rangers will get better. And I don't think you can write off Hearts just yet.
Or Hibs, in my opinion. John?
I think Celtic will still win it. Just I don't think if Gerrard keeps going the way he's going, I don't think he'll be there at the end of the season.
Oh, really?
I think someone will come in from down in England.
To pry him from Rangers would need to be...
I think he'll be there for a year.
It would need to be a Premier League side.
Aye,
I think a top 10 Premier
top
League
10
side.
team would take him.
Okay.
Given his reputation, and if he continues the way he's going, it's a big attraction for a team down in England.
That's true. We'll be interested to see how that goes.
That's obviously hypothetical.
Yeah!
It's a long shot.
Again, don't worry, I'll clip it out, John, in
That is
future
a-
when he goes to like Barcelona or something like
That's
that.
a bold prediction for you.
Hashtag bold prediction. Yeah, I think Celtic will win the league because no one else has the stamina to keep this up. And everyone's shown that they're not faultless at this time. But, teams are smelling blood at the moment, so...
It's making the league interesting, isn't it?
Can I just say as well, as an Aberdeen fan, we are so far out the game already.
It's quite funny though.
But do you know what the thing is, right?
1-0,
It's the case of crescendoing at entirely the wrong time. Like they crescendoed when Celtic were at their peak. Same thing with Falkirk in seasons of old. They crescendoed when they were up against Rangers, Hibs and Hearts, which was the impossible task. But Aberdeen did have a striker score at the weekend.
Hooray.
James Wilson, Man United man, getting a goal there. Motherwell are trash at the moment, though, by the looks of things.
I don't think they can finish all that well.
No, all that well. Yeah, I like it. I like where you went with that, John. Struggling at the moment. But as you say, Rangers thumping St Johnstone 5-1. Bit of a doing. So they've shown that they've got the depth to handle the European game midweek, and a tough European game at that, versus Celtic and their diddies. Well, not diddies. You know what I mean, though. Hearts drawing with Livy. I'm actually a Livy fan, by the way. Can I point that out now?
No.
That
Livy this season.
last season. I've taken another break. I've had enough, right? I have had enough of supporting losing teams.
Aye, tell me about it.
Livingston, I'm West Lothian boy essentially. So
Well, Livingston, you had a good run.
that's what was happening exactly.
I was surprised at that score, to be fair.
Well, the thing is,
I know they've had a good start, but...
Stephen Naismith missed a penalty.
Oh, did he? I never knew that.
Hearts. A lot of people I work with are Hearts fans. So they're giving it all, they're winning the league. And the stats have been going out on Twitter and stuff. I think their record was level with Liverpool and Atletico Madrid or Barcelona, Real Madrid. And because of the 100% win record.
It was 5-5.
You can step off that blooming perch now, boys. Step off that blooming perch. But Livy are fourth now after the Rangers victory.
I think so,
They are fourth. It's but Hearts, Celtic Rangers or Rangers Celtic.
It's goal difference, yeah.
Hibs are no far behind.
Okay, Kamara went above Celtic on goal difference. Good grief. But Livingston on 11 points after 6 games. Ross County last season, who went down, I think had 29 after 38 games. Are Livy essentially safe already?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean they're having a good run now, and it is very good to watch.
Top 6 contenders, John?
No.
Why not?
Nah,
got the form.
I'll take one win and I won't unravel, but
the motivator that is Gary Holt's got them firing on all cylinders.
I'd like to see them get top 6.
I'd love to see them get top 6.
No danger.
They'd be the only team to get top 6 and have 1,500 people turn up on a regular basis.
Well, no, the Inverness not do that. Inverness would think they did.
Yeah, Inverness did that. Partick wouldn't have been that far off either.
Get bigger
actually.
crowds.
Did they?
Yeah.
Both of them went down subsequently, so that's maybe not the best idea to get top 6.
They're doing really well, and I know they get sort of branded by being quite Route 1 physical team, but it's actually quite good to watch.
Works.
It's very effective,
especially in Scotland.
It's good. It's physical. It's good to watch. Actually,
Well, that's what
that
I said.
Hearts game. Just watching the highlights, it was worth the 15-20 quid to get in.
You went to the Hearts game a
went
couple of
to
weeks
Hearts. I
back.
went to see them absolutely hump St Mirren 4-1. It was only a tenner to get in. It was great.
Well, the thing is, big crowds at Hearts, almost irrespective who they're playing at the moment. Good atmosphere. I think it's well worth
It's easy.
a visit if you're a footballing tourist.
Aye, just a nomad. If you're
Or come and visit the Almondvale with me, or the Tony Macaroni Arena. This has got many people in FIFA excited, by the way, because they're thinking, new kits for their ultimate team. You want macaroni on the front of your shirt, so that could prove to be a popular one. Elsewhere, the Birmingham pumped Dundee, much to no one's surprise. Neil McCann kind of on the ropes now, maybe.
Kinda. No, sure he is.
Kenny Miller to take over in a player management position.
No, that's why he's there.
Could be. It's not looking good. It just football in Dundee at the moment is pretty rotten.
Nah, it's unfortunate.
Which is unusual. It's quite there's a strong fan base for teams in Dundee. There's a lot of money banded about ish. Depending on how you look at the Dundee accounts, it's kind of up and down. There's a lot of money there, but they're also
depends on who's auditing it. To be
yeah,
honest.
exactly.
Dundee United's all on credit.
That's such a mess.
Yeah.
So I don't. You think Dundee will be the straight down boys this season?
I'm not convinced yet.
After
no.
my predictions
If
at the
they get a
beginning
new
of the season,
manager,
then
They get a new manager in.
They
Couple of
always-
signings in January.
That's
Just
what always
depends how
happens,
bad
is
they
they
are,
get a new manager, they get reinvigorated. And again, there's a few good young players there. I'm a big fan. Is it Kerr that's their captain? Good
so,
young
yeah.
player. I think they lost O'Hara and things in the summer. And we know how terrible that their striker they sent out on loan to us is. So
Well,
that
we
doesn't
can have him back.
bode well for the first team. But I think a lot of heads down there that really need to be turned around. But more high scoring victories for Hibernian.
I'll come back into it again. It was an easy task, let's be honest.
It was.
If you watch the highlights, Dundee just kind of switch off in the second half. It's quite embarrassing, actually.
Still need to start their defence, because again that Kilmarnock game was mad last week with the 3-2, and then I think last season it was like 5-4 or something like that.
I think they're away to Hamilton next weekend,
Right.
which is
Is that
that's
right?
a relegation 6-pointer already, really, for Dundee more than Hamilton. Like, Hamilton will be fine, but
I think Hamilton getting the points against St Mirren.
who look utterly dreadful.
St Mirren are bad. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I
but they
wonder
got-
what league Rankiri was talking about.
Yeah, but he got the draw against Celtic in his first game.
I don't know
Which
how that happened.
well, we see how terrible that they are.
The boys as mad as a hatter.
That's what you need, though, isn't it?
No, that's not what you need. Like, oh, come on.
Their recruitment had killed them in the summer.
Aye,
They
yeah.
got rid of everyone that was good about their campaign. Whereas you look at someone like Livingston, who kept their kind of key players, let go a lot of people, and just kind of
They kept their identity,
they did.
and that's
That's a good line. That's
Well
a
done, John.
That's actually that's a top bit of punditry.
Richard Gordon.
Anyone that's watching it, BBC Scotland now, get Gary Holt and all that crew off and get
But
John.
they
on
did though.
Yeah.
St Mirren, for whatever reason, brought in Stubbs, who was absolutely hopeless at
That was
Hibs,
terrible. idea.
apart from the cup final, and he's ruined it. It's almost
So-
like it's like what Hartley's done at Falkirk, which we'll go on to. That he's utterly ruined the club.
There are a few people that John has a target on the backs of. Alan Stubbs would be one of them.
Yes.
Rightly so. But I think St Mirren Football Club as well.
No, I actually don't mind St Mirren. They've done the right thing when they built their new stadium, for example.
Yep.
Uh,
What Falkirk should have blown
Falkirk
done.
should have done. Yep. Absolutely no doubt. There's a lot kind of going for St Mirren, but they've made such a hash of that appointment in the recruitment of the summer. But
It's a real struggle for them. I don't know how they're gonna. There's going to need to be big recruitment in January to sort it.
they'll need to gut it and then hope for the best. Their biggest problem is Livingston are doing far better than anyone expected,
Yes.
because you would roles reversed.
Yep.
You would expect St Mirren to take the bounce win in the league and sort of Livingston to be struggling at the bottom.
St Mirren would have had they kept their team from last season. So.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's all heating up. The top of the league now seems to be a kind of 4-horse race. Rangers, Celtic, Hibs, Hearts. Seems to be the way it's kind of going.
The sheep
looking-
aren't on fire.
What?
The sheep aren't on fire.
No, I'm looking wistfully at my Aberdeen top just now. I think there.
Get that down for next week.
They're out. Aye. My Tony Macaroni top will be there, Dan. Don't you worry.
I'll bring a few Rangers.
Whoever's winning, I'll go with. That's my decision. Anyway, the championship. Do you want to start at the top or the bottom?
Look at you there, John.
Work our way down. What's up?
Take your pick, honestly.
We'll start at the top because that's the positivity. Ayr United have gone top of the championship. And I guess it's not really a huge surprise. Beating Alloa 2-0.
Aye,
Yes.
Well, highlights. Stunning finish from you'll never guess.
Kevin Moffat.
No. Marquette, no. Lauren Shankland. Playing well. I tell you, that Alloa, it's such a ramshackle disaster of like a...
Well, that's good news.
It's a space. It's not even... Well, no, I'm not talking about the team. The team looked all right.
Oh.
The stadium. It's not a stadium. It's like... It's such
A
a
field.
mess. It's actually an embarrassment to actually have a professional football team playing in such a...
It is a
setup.
stadium if they wouldn't narrow it so much.
Well, I saw that. They painted like the lines on...
It used to be, they've painted the green where the white lines used to be
Aye.
full size, and they've narrowed it. So you're absolutely miles away from the pitch.
But then, even then, there's goals just littered everywhere. There's like
It's
some
pretty
rough security men who are kind of watching the game. They're kind of watching the fans. Absolute disaster. But aye, Ayr United have gone on. What question I had is if they went up as if their stadium would meet current specs, because I know we've kind of downgraded a bit.
Absolutely wouldn't, no. That's the thing.
See, that's what I said.
It's all terracing.
But apparently, it's not a million miles away. But then I was like, well, why did Celtic go through all the safe standing rubbish for that corner?
But I mean, Ayr could do the same, conceivably.
What, safe standing?
Safe standing on both ends. I don't know about the far side because it just looks like rubble, to be honest.
Yeah.
And they've obviously got the main stand, which is mostly wooden seating. So I think it's just about.
But it would be the last great stadium in Scotland, pretty much, to go.
You
wouldn't it?
absolutely would not want that getting torn down. In fact, if it got torn down, that's the end of Scottish football as a kind of nostalgic moment.
Well, again, much like we talked about, the Real Stadium earlier. When I looked at the sort of, and I've got is it Broadwood Airdrie used to play at?
No, it's come on. It's the Excelsior used to be Airdrie.
No, the Excelsior is currently Airdrie.
Aye.
No, but the one they played at before.
No idea.
But that's the feature I've got going up on the Instagram next week, and it's, you look at the old stadiums like when St Mirren played at Love Street and St Johnstone at...
Look at the old pictures of Kilmarnock Stadium. You seen in documentary?
Right.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're turning it down. That was really sad.
But then that's the funny thing is those stadiums had no cohesive design whatsoever.
No, they were just
some of them had curved ends, some of them had straight, some of them had, at Craven Cottage they've got the
old kind of corner.
I can't remember what you would call it, pavilion.
It looks like it should be part of a cricket ground rather than...
Yes. We'll get onto that next week. I'd like to discuss what makes a stadium atmospheric on the grounds of Hampden's redevelopment.
Yeah, well.
But Ayr United only going top because of Inverness drawing with Ross County. The two horses that we've picked to win the league this season. John sided with Ross County. I sided with Inverness. Who did you side with?
I was Ross County.
Ooh, so 2v1. It's ticked.
Right.
6,800 people at that derby, by the way, which was a pretty solid attendance.
Good crowd, that.
Yeah. Especially in the Championship.
I know. I've not seen any highlights, but it looks like between themselves, Dundee United and Ayr, it's kind of 4-horse race as well for the Championship at the moment.
No, wouldn't have done United in it, to be honest.
They're up there.
Unbelievably.
After their victory against Falkirk.
Once it's like the manager.
Well,
I
think
don't
about
know.
what you could.
No, we'll probably get to that game later on. But
We'll get to it now because we're talking about Dundee United.
right, fine.
We were, of course, at the Falkirk Dundee United game on the weekend. John is the season ticket holder. He's required to be there. I help with the tannoy. I'm required to be there. Darren, you're required to be there.
No.
Did you go?
No.
Made the right decision.
Yeah.
I heard on the tannoy as well, some little laddie, it was his first game at the Falkirk Stadium.
I feel sorry for that.
I am so sorry. I'll refund your money, give you a pie. No, it hasn't always been this way.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you about. Because when we started watching Falkirk, it was a reasonably good period in time.
Fantastic, yeah.
My first season was at Brockville and won the league. An absolute canter. You thought, this is magic. There was local view after that, which wasn't great, but it steadily progressed. Won the league the following season, SPL. If you start being a Falkirk fan now or last season, what is the incentive to go back?
The thing is, as a Falkirk fan, we've always enjoyed coming close to great success.
It's glorious failure.
It is glorious failure, and we've loved that. We love getting to a playoff final and just not quite get, and we love getting to a Scottish Cup final, and then just because it gives us something to moan about.
And it papers over cracks in the boardroom.
It does.
I don't want to go on a big rant about it, but
we'll get to that. The thing, what struck me about this weekend's football was Kilmarnock getting the win against Celtic, right? Kilmarnock are an alright team. Finishing the top 6, I acknowledge, is good. But see little successes like that, it keeps you going. And like our cup runs in the Championship, getting to Hampden and playing Hibernian, even like a wee Challenge Cup run, that little beam of light would keep you going. We don't have that. There's nothing. Like, there's nothing to motivate you, and there's no interesting play. Yeah. But it's fine because we've got a 3-page essay describing what's going wrong.
Oh dear.
You might have seen this in the press by the way that Falkirk put out the longest statement known to man. It wasn't really a statement, it was a letter from the chairman.
As the banter years continue in the SPFL, Falkirk's chairwoman Margaret Lang issues the worst statement you'll ever read.
Oh, the funniest thing, right, was...
These are questions that fans may have asked, that she's decided have been asked, and decides to answer them herself. It's... trolling, I think, would be the best way to describe it.
I think discussing it with others, it was a naive move.
Stupid.
It was possibly the right thing to do, but the wrong thing to do.
She was better off just keeping quiet.
I think so. I mean, it disclosed a lot of things that perhaps were of competition interest.
She's opened up a lot of can of worms, especially in the academy. she started banning figures about. And the interesting thing about it is the chief exec, Craig Campbell's not mentioned at all.
No.
In any of that. So he's not put his name to it.
He left, I think, 10 minutes before.
He should just leave and no come back, to be brutally honest. He takes an absolute chunk of money out of that club every week in a wage and does nothing.
That was the biggest worry for me, is reading through these figures and that they're recording pretty heavy losses each season.
Oh, aye.
And you look about the place, you know, there's a lot of folk there, that the sales teams especially, working hard to get sponsorship plastered everywhere. You go to any other club in the Championship, there's nowhere near the amount of sponsorship that we are very, very fortunate to get.
Oh,
and
aye.
we're still taking
Massive losses. Somebody has to spell this out at some stage, otherwise the club is going to face some serious issues.
Well, currently, right, we're looking at a team that's going to be in League One, right? Much as Dan said with Celtic earlier, if nothing changes, status quo remains. I don't see that being remotely sustainable as a League One team.
No, it could very well collapse with the same backside. A lot of people point to Wraith, they survived, managed to stay full time, but
We're a smaller organisation,
yes,
though.
and they could sort of close down a stand and it didn't really matter. We don't have that kind of luxury. Than that, we don't really own the stadium. We own parts of
Well,
it.
the joke was, you know, we would eventually have to lease it out to East Stirlingshire, who would pass us in the league on our way. Because the thing is, once the plane's on fire, how do you bring it back up again? You know, that's not an analogy anyone uses, but I've used it.
There you go.
Funniest thing of the weekend, though, was, you know, talking to some of the other people. I won't name names, but there was a few songs bandied about with Margaret Lang to the tune of Shang-a-Lang by the Bayside Rollers. It was very funny. Also, we're talking about Rangers or something just as the subs were coming on. It was Billy King that came on, so we're kind of elbowing the announcer like, "Don't get that the wrong way round, eh?" You know, in orange.
Fraser Aird as well.
Well, a Fraser Aird, aye. So that was the.
That's the thing though. You'll probably get a better understanding of the inside. than what
No.
we do.
No,
Well-
I've spoken about it before. I get all my information from everyone else.
I sat in that south stand. First goal went in. There was not a peep. There was no booing. There was no
No.
one busting their vein in abuse.
Even though it was
No,
absolutely
no.
horrendous.
Goalkeeping.
There'll be an expectation that that's going to happen now, though.
It's all very apathetic,
Yes,
and that's a worry.
I would take my eye off it.
Apathetic. But you know, no one cares. No one's like trying to burst into the main entrance to try and oust these people.
Apart from
Oh, hold on. Are you wanting the West Ham situation
Nah,
from
I don't
last
want the West
season
Ham
where we all just kind of go in front? What you know? The problem is, right, see if you did that at Falkirk.
No one's going to stop
There's
you.
no a tier in between. Problem is, folk with the main stand would never do that. It's all the south stand folk
So
that
the
do
sweet
that.
hustlers, even then.
Don't you give them ideas?
No,
See if
but
there's a riot and the
No.
police come down and shut down this blooming podcast because of your suggestions.
all for the greater good.
That's not for the greater good. Oh, good grief.
No, but you get my
John.
point though. There
This
is.
boy had a cold at the start of the podcast and was like, I'm not going to say much.
That's my excuse and quote. That's,
The thing
that's
is,
my point though. There is no one cares.
Nope.
No one cares. This is the
no,
thing.
no. Well, the thing is, see, at the weekend there, I was saying, you know, if an alien was shot down from space, he'd have no idea what the point of football was.
No.
For either team. I can't just say Dundee United, you were equal to these mints as well. But see when the ball was like flashed across the box and there was a dead certain opportunity, I didn't shift. I didn't run forward. I didn't jump up and down. I knew that this was either going skiting to the top of the south stand or blazed wide.
Dead
which in the
away.
case of Petrovicius and I
That's
think
what it was.
Harrison, it completely was.
Derry Lewis cuts it back straight across the goal. Anyone else would have buried that. Everybody's up their feet. I'm
No.
nonchalant. With a
Yeah, sat.
cup
exactly.
of coffee in my hand, not flinched. Because you just know he's going to miss.
Aye, it is bad. It is bad. And I now understand what it feels like to be a Brecon fan, or a Cowdenbeath fan, or, you know,
Falkirk fan.
Falkirk fan. How do you keep yourself motivated though?
I
Like,
can't see myself being back, to be honest.
you've got that option though.
Well,
You've got that
I'll
option.
be posting my season ticket back because nobody wants it.
Oh, aye, that's true. Competition time. Anyone out there that wants a season ticket, yeah. Write in, best suggestions will win the prize.
Loser gets the season ticket.
Yeah,
Plus £10. No, I'm joking.
pretty much. The game itself, a game of very few chances. Like Dundee United didn't create a lot. What they did score was shambolic.
That was poor goalkeeping. The header for the second looked okay.
Yeah,
But
the Markman thing was.
there's nothing really kind of comment about the game. It was just terrible.
The only good thing I would have to say is that number 90 for Dundee United has some really good feet and actually looks like quite a player.
But he can't cross.
Right, I didn't notice that.
No, he had Muirhead on a
Yeah,
plate.
but John, right, see in Scottish football, you can't have
One or the other.
an all-round player that's actually good at two separate things. You have to basically pick, you know, for example, Paul Payton has lots of aggression.
Without any stamina, pace, direction.
Exactly.
Passing.
Our goalkeeper has a good beard.
Hipster man. He would look good in a Boohoo advert.
Not much else. Petrovicius has some fantastically large thighs.
He's got the largest thighs.
He's got humongous thighs. Like these, his shorts are bulging,
It's
and
between-
not for the good reason.
It's between him and Shaqiri.
He is a bit like that. But Shaqiri had massive like calves as well.
Oh yeah.
Which Petrovicius doesn't have. But aye, not good. I think we've saved Shaba Laszlo's job for another week.
Aye.
And I think what was depressing is they celebrated that victory as if they won the league. You know, they went over, shook
aye.
the fans' hands, and I was like, what on earth is this? Like,
That's embarrassing.
it is. But 900 Dundee
That's a
United
good
fans.
support.
It's very,
Like
very
a good
good.
attendance. Yeah.
I don't know again how they're doing it because they're in such a miserable place as well.
But that's
Um,
probably their core support that would just go home and away now.
Pretty much. Next home game for Falkirk is Dunfermline.
Nah, won't be at that. I can't face it.
But that's the only game that matters of the season, isn't
Nah,
it? The
I
derby.
honestly cannot even comprehend watching
You're twitching.
Callum Higginbottom rip the push out of Dallison, Harrison, Muirhead, whoever plays left back, so Nobby Robson. I can't.
Why wasn't he playing?
I
Why?
don't get it. He's been missing that Russell boy who looked alright, who's gone AWOL, who's a natural right back.
No, I mind him.
He's disappeared. The
Owen
other boy
Evans has
came-
been totally dropped.
Oh, he's useless. So Sam Out, who I thought would maybe end up doing a good job under McKinnon, is just sitting on the bench doing nothing.
Yeah.
Is it Greenwood they got for Sunderland?
Yeah.
Has disappeared.
Oh, the kind of curly hair guy.
Anyone who tells me Mackin will put in a better shift than in Haybark
Playing well in the reserve league. Well, Rudden, who's the Rangers guy on loan, got a goal on his debut.
Poor
Aye,
guy.
Huh?
Poor guy.
I know. See that game of the weekend? I was thinking that he must be thinking, what on earth am I playing with here?
Sack your agent. That's
Do you
honestly.
know what, game time at a championship
No,
club's
doesn't
alright.
matter. Sack your agent.
Well, but
that is the
You
worst
see
move you've done.
but the Hibs youth players went out to, was it Gala Deans or something that were playing in the Scottish Cup first round today?
Gallifrey.
Gallifrey who won 6-3, 7-3.
Oh, I don't know.
But he got a hat-trick on his debut on loan from Hibs, so it's of a better quality than that. But
I send them to the junior stuff and them up.
aye, Dundee United. Not many names I knew. Kind of Craig Curran and things. McMullen had an alright game, but he's kind of stalled a wee bit.
It's all fresh faces for them.
They've done an us, but they're not as bad.
They recognise Paul Watson. He was never threatened.
No, he was the defenders weren't up to. It's amazing that Edge and Gelly's still there. He's a bad
He's still
player.
there. Jeez.
Aye. But anyway, Dundee United have propelled themselves up the league after their wee handshakes and all that jazz, and we wait and see if Falkirk can do anything in the derby. Anyway,
I just won't be happening.
on that positive note, it brings us to an end. To an end? Well, it brings me to an end. That's for sure. So, thank you very much for listening. If you got this far, from myself, Paul.
Thanks for listening, everyone. From Dan.
Cheers, guys.
And tune in next week or the week after for an analysis of another Falkirk drubbing. Enjoy. Have a good evening, a good afternoon.
No.
Have a good evening, a good afternoon, and a good morning. Bye bye.